Hello and welcome back to For the Doers. I'm Seda, your host, and back again with us is our friend Janice.
Hi,
Hi,
Seda.
Janice. How are you?
Good. Oh my gosh, I'm excited for this part two.
Yes. No, our last conversation was great. We were talking about how people experience you. Why not you was the main theme. Got really deep into that. And it's funny, I recently did a workshop at a high school that I love doing. And that's a theme that I feel like we're having in a lot of these conversations right now. So many people are, it's kind of like we're going through the pandemic without staying home.
I love that.
It isn't it? Doesn't it feel that way?
I
It
think so.
fe
I think it's interesting because I feel like when you say that, I immediately think it's like seeking out connection,
yeah,
but now you have the
that's it.
ability to do it. So that's when you said that I was like, "Oh, that lands for me."
Yeah, it feels like that. It feels like everyone is trying to kind of find their bearings
Yeah.
because everything is so wild right now. Um, but today we're going to talk about what is your specialty? Do what you are.
Oh,
I
that's a
love that.
loaded question. I'm going to need you to
Woo!
lead by example and tell me how this is done.
Listen, this is a discussion. I don't know if I'm going to be able to tell you how it's done, but I do believe that I chose this subject because a lot of us live our lives kind of unconsciously, just flying by the seat of your pants, and we throw around authenticity, blah blah blah. But most people, in my experience or from it, in my opinion, do what's easiest, and I say that from experience because I did get to that point where yes, you achieve success, but you're like, for what? And I know for me, it was I wanted to be that great daughter, to my parents and work at, have these great positions, but for what? Like my heart wasn't singing. It was trying to be what society wanted me to be, I guess, and not having that foundation of I'm doing this because of XYZ for myself. And that's why I said to you, and I remember that I said that in the last conversation, like, I don't feel like I chose this because I got, having to go through the trauma. And I feel grateful, especially these days when all of these things are coming out about so many predators out there. I feel so grateful that I was able to get go through that dark night of the soul to really break those patterns and having to become vulnerable, which I think that's what I was afraid of the most, was being vulnerable, because I was vulnerable when I was a victim. I mean, what's more vulnerable than being a victim to predators? Um, but I think we seek comfort and we seek familiarity because we don't want to be victims. We don't want to be looked upon as weak. So we trudge along and say, well, this is what you actually said something last week. Like, well, this is just the way it has to be that, someone said that to you. This is burnout is just the way it has to be. And alignment comes into that. You feel like I had such bad anxiety and depression. I still have anxiety and depression, but dealing with those things and doing the hard things is what gets you through that. And I think that that's what I discovered about finding my specialty was taking off all those masks helped me to finally see, okay, this is what I want. Because when you're just operating from what society wants or your parents want or your family wants for you, hopefully you can wake up one day and say, that's not me. That's not what I wanted. Or that's not exactly what I wanted. And I'm not pleasing myself, which is I think why we don't come here to just please ourselves, but we come here to find yourself and bring your best self into your community, into society. I'm preaching.
I like it.
And luckily, and I talk a lot about being a survivor now because I couldn't before. I was afraid of talking about it, but after having the experience of coming out of that and doing a lot of work, I do want to be an example to other people who might have hidden those things. I pushed those things down for over 30 years, 40 years because I couldn't deal with it. I didn't want to deal with the ugliness that comes out of doing the work. But doing that work is what has helped me get to the place where I know where I bring value to my life, to my community, to my family, to my friends. Yeah, it's made me a much better person to myself. So that's what I got. Okay, you've been great.
Yeah, like, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a great day.
That's the message.
Well, it's a tough one. I think first it's a privilege to be able to get curious and figure out what your specialty is. I think you hit the nail on the head when you say that in order to do that, you have to take off masks and get vulnerable and kind of peel the layers away at yourself to do that inspection.
Mm,
Because truth be told, a lot of people don't have the ability to shed those personas because they have to like dig their heels in. They have to work, they have to provide, they have to be the breadwinner or the sole provider of their families or their own livelihoods. So it's interesting when you're able to articulate and bring to the surface what was hiding in plain sight the whole time, where what lights you up and what's your specialty. And it's interesting because if I were to ask you that question, like what is your specialty, I almost guarantee it's not a job title
no,
or
no.
a skill set. I'm like, what would be
I and I touched on that in the last conversation. I love helping people go from good to great. That's my favorite thing to do. And no, that's not a title, you know. Um,
It is a skill set, though, I take it back, where, I was like, "Oh, maybe not be a skill." No, that's a skill.
well, it's I have developed it into a skill.
Mhm.
That's what finding your specialty is. It's not even what the specialty is. It's something that you can it's a muscle.
Yeah.
It's a muscle that you can build, I think.
I agree. I think it's a almost like a mixture of multiple things, and then depending on who you're taking from good to great, it's a bunch of different things, because humans are complex that way, and I think always evolving. So what works for how you develop someone from good to great is going to differ for each person, and
Absolutely.
what their definition of great is going to differ also. So that's a really interesting specialty.
Yeah, I like the way that you said that because yeah, you people are individuals and you have to treat people as individuals. When I manage teams, I look at every person as an individual, and my goal is always seeing that individual, knowing what they want to accomplish, and then putting that together with the team's goals so that everybody feels like they have a responsibility because they're committed to themselves and what they want to do. And when they see that as part of the goal of the collective,
Oh,
that's when you really start cooking with some fire.
yeah.
I think that's timely right now because with AI, and even though I think it's a bubble, with AI and all of these things, it's like there's so much junk. And I think that's also why we're looking for a connection. We're
Mhm.
looking for a connection because there's just so much of the same out there. I'm sorry. I was watching the Super Bowl commercials because I didn't really watch the Super Bowl. Girl,
They're so bad.
they were so bad.
That used to be my favorite part about, because I'm not a big
Yes.
sports fan, but the Super Bowl commercials were my favorite to watch, because that was like that is the most you're gonna spend. Like, that is a year or two worth of ad spend for that campaign to
Right.
get that audience. Like, it's nuts. And I'm like, whoa, that's what they decided to go with. Or that's
Yes.
I
Playing it safe. Let's just stick a celebrity in there and write a joke.
that isn't funny. That doesn't land.
That didn't
Yeah,
land.
yeah, there was a lot of ugh, I can't I still think about it. I don't even know how many Super Bowls it was, and I know this is a tangent, but it was for Alexa, and I don't have a smart home. Like, I don't have devices where you can speak to them in the house, but it was like, I think it was like a married couple, and he was making all these memos to his wife, because it was like they were elderly, and it was like he was going to pass. And I lost it. I was like bawling, because I was like, wow, that like hit an emotional chord. Like, I think Budweiser did it too, with like a puppy and a horse. It all the commercials were missing that, like some sort of emotional connection. I was like, it
Mm,
just everything fell on deaf ears, where it just felt very like, well, what am I watching?
it was weird.
Yeah. And then also I was like, am I too old? Do I not get the jokes?
No. No, but I think that it was a what do you call that? Not an not what do you call that? It's what's happening now that no one wants to take chances. Not risky at all. Um, like what's the point of just putting a celebrity and it To me, that's the death knell of celebrity culture, which is fantastic, I think. Because yeah, the more we see about how the world works, the more you're seeing these are just people.
Mhm.
These are just people. Why would you worship a guy who is playing all these different parts? So you don't even really know who that person is. All you see is those masks
Mm.
that that person puts on for a living. Remember, they're doing that for a living. So why not pour some of that energy into yourself and developing yourself? I don't know. Maybe that is a tangent, but it's like, do we need another Frankenstein movie?
We have
There
to because
literally
there's nothing that was the last those are the stories that the last good ones. Do you know what I mean? Like, is anything really original anymore is the question. It's like, when was the last time something like that's why there's so many remakes. It's like, oh, it worked. Let's rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. And
yes,
Hollywood is so good about doing that. It's like repurposing ideas that have already been done. I mean, granted,
yes,
there's original ones too, but it's like they're, betting on safe. It's like, okay, well, what's going to sell the most tickets? What's going to stream the best? It's like, let's use the old recipe or the old formula for,
mhm,
what has performed well.
but clearly it's not working. It's not working. Going back to those Super Bowl commercials, like, literally, it was like
Mhm.
slap these celebrities in there and, "Oh, okay." It's all about, like, "Oh, there's a famous person in the room."
Mm.
Like, what? No risks. And we're in a time where you have to take risks. And also, you're wasting millions of dollars on this. I don't know. I'm just I was incredibly disappointed because I really
Same.
like watching those commercials to laugh.
Me too. It's just it's been a long time since I've seen really good commercials, and you would think that they would step up their game because do you know how hard it is to find commercials these days? Like if you're on streaming, like it's
Yeah.
really my like on streaming devices is crazy now. The only thing I see is things that you can um like Amazon. Like you can like would you like to replace an order? So they're like hyper targeted
Mm,
versus like a global campaign or an a international or excuse me, like a campaign that's going out through the nation. It's
right.
different than like, oh, do you need to reorder the detergent that you ordered last week? Which I mean, yeah, that's effective, but it's like where's the creativity? Where's the outward thinking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, like you can recreate like there's nothing new under the sun.
Mhm.
People never change, you know. The stuff that's happening right now, a lot of the same things happened 100 years ago. And I'm sure 100 years before that. And I'm sure 100 years before that.
Yeah, in
But
just different forms, right?
yeah, but it's just lacking creativity. Anyway, um so let's talk about finding your specialty. So for me, I realized that client development was my specialty from being introspective and looking at the things that I have accomplished and how I accomplished them. And for me, it was people and product, people, product, people, product, people, product. Processes in there too. But I've always been fascinated by why people buy what they buy. Always been fascinated by that. And when I first got into luxury and fashion, I leaned into that because that was what I knew. And luckily, I had great mentors who also showed me how to be a merchant so that I could grow that muscle of, okay, this product will serve this person, right? And then you have a team, and then you have all these different people on the team who can best represent the product to different people. I don't even know where I'm going with that, but
It's okay, keep going.
but it's all about people. I think that's and I keep going off on these tangents, but that is why I think that AI is a bubble that will pop, and we will always use it. I think it's a fantastic thing to have, but like I was driving through, I think it was not Echo Park, Eagle Rock,
Mhm.
and I saw this billboard of this pendant that's supposed to be like a friend or something. And I said, that's the problem. That's the problem right there. You have people who literally have no clue how to engage with other people making products from their mindset, thinking, oh, people aren't able to connect right now because they're always online. Yeah, that's true. But now this is taking it a little bit too far to just think, oh, I need this pendant to be my friend. What? What are we talking about? Where are we going with this? There's still a lot of people around. How about you just, turn around and talk to your friend or somebody in your family? Go outside.
I think that's the biggest thing is like talk to, like have a conversation. And I
Yes.
think it's been increasingly hard for, I mean, going back to like playing it safe and, not wanting to disrupt the system. Like,
Well, that's it.
how can you, yeah, but it's like you almost stop evolving if you aren't willing to have a conversation. You don't have to agree. I'm not saying you don't have to agree with everything somebody says,
No.
but I think the core of finding your specialty is like the ability to listen and comprehend what's going on around you. Like that's what made you so good. It makes you so good at what it is you do because it's a it's like you're receiving and then you're responding. So you're receiving
Right.
information and seeing how this dynamic is or how this person is and then you're responding appropriately to help them go from good to great or
Right.
helping client relations or helping a corporation scale, whatever the end goal is. There has to be there has to be a listening component where there's a conversation that has to happen and there has to be an exchange in ideas and there has to be a reception of what's saying. Like not to say that it's, again, it's all going to be right or you should take what other people say as gospel, but in order to build something or to move forward, like wouldn't you have to consider things in the conversation? I don't know where I'm going with this. But you know what I mean? Like you got to talk about it. You have to talk out the things.
Well, yes, but and again, social media I think is a big part of this too, where you have people who, because you feel when you're on social media, you feel like you are part of something,
Yeah.
but you're really not. When it comes right down to it, if I pull the plug, that community's gone. What's left? The people around you. And I feel like we're getting back to that though. I'm actually very hopeful. Um going back to specialty, seeing that importance in how you play a role in your society. What did I write down? I wrote down like finding your specialty is what you're good at, uh, with what energizes you and what creates value. So it's what you're good at versus what energizes you versus what creates value.
Ooh.
All of those things together is what your specialty is. So for me, what I'm good at is talking to people. What energizes me is also talking to people. Going back to that report card.
Like, Theta, you need it's quiet time.
Exactly. Stop distracting your neighbor. And what creates value? That's how I found my specialty was bringing that curiosity into the people and product and not trying to sell people something just because they walked in and because I know they can afford it or not, you know, bringing that judgment in and just staying open and curious and meeting people where they are and then going to, oh, okay, this is what suits you. One of the highlights that I've in my career was being able to speak to um one of the talks I remember I gave, or what I spoke on, was taking a client who bought a pair of sneakers for $350
Mm.
at that time. It was a long time ago too. To a ready to wear client, building that relationship, because in fashion, ready to wear is it. Ready to wear is top of the line. Those are the clients that you really want because that is someone who's really invested in the company and really represents the meaning behind the collection. That's why you have runway shows.
Mhm.
So taking someone who just came in to get a pair of tennis shoes to buying gowns
Mhm.
is all about building a relationship and building trust with that person and making that person feel valued. Because if I'm going to spend 3, 5,000, 10,000 on a gown, I trust you.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of that. And that's one of the things that I looked back on to see, yes, this is what I love to do. This is what I want to pour into. That is the muscle I want to work, is building that trust with people in an authentic way, in an honest way, so that people say, I like working with that person or that team, because that's what it's all about too in a store environment. I love, and that's what I love to influence in teams, is having people want to come back and just like, I just want to hang out here, even though we're working, but I love the energy here because people know why they're here. People love being here because they know why they're here. And I think a lot of companies have gotten away from
Mm.
that in a way, because we have become much more about make that goal, make that goal, make that goal, make that goal. I was watching an old interview with Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, and they were saying you can't grow every single year as a company. I
Mm.
was like, what?
Like, but you have to.
you know? And they were saying there are so many things that can happen in the market, in society. So you can't expect to always grow and grow and grow. It's not natural. I was like, "Ooh, I have been thinking this my whole life." Um, and I don't know how that ties together with everything, but I think it ties together with being realistic
Mhm.
about how people operate. When you have a business, you have to diversify because those things happen, because people die, people get divorces,
Mhm.
people move. There are so many when you are dealing with people, there are so many variables that you have to take into account that will impact your business.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking all the time, grow, 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 yeah, growing is good, but you have to keep reality in mind.
Mhm.
And reality is people, and people are dynamic. I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm just kind of brainstorming on that.
It's good though, but it's true. It's interesting because I think as people and as leaders probably too, being in corporate or, running a company, if you're not growing, do you feel like, is it the equivalent of dying? Is it like you're not doing what your potential is, or, whatever, like meeting the metric, doing the thing, but it's not sustainable for a company? Like if that's always the metric of success, is like if a company grows, well, what does it look like when you flip it and it's, how can we make our team members grow? How do we grow the retention numbers? Like, we
Mhm,
didn't have turnover, is it our best
mhm.
sales year? No, but guess what? Not not one employee left. Like, we
Yes.
like, why is that no longer a metric? Like, it's,
Love that you're saying that. No longer.
yeah. Because back in the day, wasn't it? It was a badge of honor. You worked for Ford for 40 years. You had pension. You had, your life was invested in a brand, in a company, because you knew no different. Like, I knew somebody who, my parents' mail person. She, after 25 years, retired from USPS.
Mhm.
And I'm like, do people stay at companies that long? I mean, I can say, like, probably back in the day, yes, but I'm like, are if you pose that question, I feel like now to somebody, like, why would I give somebody else my 25 year, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's just like, it's interesting, but I think, to that point, to play devil's advocate, if I were in those shoes, to be like, well, would that environment nurture me to grow into the person I wanted to be? If so, then why not? Like, why wouldn't I be
Mhm.
part of a company? It's interesting.
Interesting. I don't know. I look at that in a different way because I believe for me that I have developed that skill because I've always loved, developing people, developing relationships. And I've worked at a few different companies,
Mhm.
and I feel very grateful for that because sometimes I look at, I think it also depends on your industry. Let's
Good
let's just
point.
put that out
Yeah,
there.
good point.
I think in my industry, I feel grateful to have moved around a little bit
Mhm.
because it helped me to change perspective sometimes, and I don't think I would have gotten that if I had stayed at a company for 15, 20 years.
Wow. Yeah.
you know, I think it depends on the position, it depends on the industry, if you're a doctor, yeah, stay. Stay
It's true.
there. But yeah, I feel that the different experiences that I had or have had made me into a better leader
Mm,
because I can see people from different perspectives. I've seen, worked with very experienced teams, which is my favorite thing, and worked with not so experienced teams, which takes the life out of me,
yeah.
which has happened a lot more because to your point of back in the day, people stayed longer. I do feel that some companies don't feel like they want to level up their team skill sets for whatever reason.
Ooh, mm,
I don't know. Um, and that's when it is hard to take people from good to great because they're not even there long enough.
yeah.
1 year, 2 years, that isn't enough unless you came from another place. I mean, we can have that conversation. I think I'm going into a rabbit hole here with moving around versus not. And somebody like you're working by yourself and doing your specialty all the time. Like what is your specialty
Ooh.
in what
So
you
I've
do?
been so I've been thinking about this ever since you told me that this was going to be like the follow-up episode. So
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, we're really gonna like dig down into what you're really asking.
Mhm.
So what I came up with is that I think my specialty is translation. Um,
What?
I think I coming from somebody who only knows one
Yeah.
language, by the way. I know
Wait,
one language.
what?
I know one language in English and one language in English. I can barely speak that. I have one, I only know one language, but I think my specialty is being able to translate after, again, after having conversations and getting to know people, is how to translate what people care about, what they are good at, what it's the antithesis of this conversation. It's what they feel their specialty is or their purpose is, and translating that into a viable business.
Woo.
So, how can you take what it is that you love and translate that into a business?
Yes.
Because for me, it's like it's great. I recommend everybody have hobbies. I also think one of my biggest purposes and callings is to help people level up. So whatever that looks like, I completely hear you in the space of you like taking people from good to great. I like when people realize that they have this incredible wealth of knowledge and value proposition to share with like the world. I love that. I'm like, just the switch that happens where it's like, "Oh, I could branch out on my own. People would want me to help them as a business. Like I could build a business around consulting or sharing my story." I'm like, "Yeah, 100%. This is what that looks like." And it's like in non-conventional ways, which I really
Mm.
enjoy. I'm not telling them to like, I'm like, "What do your feet look like?" I'm just kidding. Um, um, but you know what I mean? It's just it's such a I don't know. I think it's a gift to be able to work with people who know that they have something to say and they want to
Yeah.
be able to say it, but they don't know how. And I
Mm.
think it's after having conversations of, what really lights you up? What do you feel, through the toughest times you've experienced? Like, what is the What is something that you can share that you wish somebody else had as a guidebook to get them through a situation that you've already been through?
Hmm.
Um, and I like that. I like the excavation of it all. I
Yeah.
like digging up people's gems and showing it to them, because a lot of people take for granted what they know because they do it as second nature. Everything they do is like, "Oh, it's automatic."
I love that so much.
It's automatic, right? You don't think about it. It's just something you've done, especially, and I think this is what I'm obsessed with now, especially in this, I think, season of life, is that senior leaders, so they've been doing this for 15, 20, 25, 30, 40 years. And they're like, what's my legacy? What do I want to leave?
Yes.
Because they're so good at what they do. And they
Yeah.
have seen, I mean, take any industry, none has stayed stagnant for 20, 30, 40 years. So
Nothing.
they've seen everything.
Mhm.
And it's like, what's next for me? And I think that is my favorite place to build
Yeah.
from, because they have all this, like I always say, like, you're not building from scratch, you're building from
Yep.
experience.
Yep.
And just taking that wealth of experience, and they're like, "Well, I don't know what to do with it." I'm like, "Oh, gimme." I love that.
Hey, I'm one of your projects.
I love it. I'm like, "Let's have a conversation around it." And you're like, "Oh," and my favorite is, you know, reading somebody's bio to them, like if they're a guest on a podcast or they're preparing to do a speaking engagement, and putting their bio together, and they're like, "Oh, who are you talking about?" Like, "Oh, I did all those things." That is the best, because again, it goes back to, like, you're so busy producing and running the day to day, that you don't get to pause and be like, "Oh shit, I've done some things, and I've wow, I did that, and
Yes.
I'm still doing it." And I think that's such a
Yes.
cool way to check in.
I love that.
Mm.
That's literally why we're here.
So that's my specialty. Another way to say it is I'm nosy. I'm like, "Tell me more about your life." I get real curious, and I'm like, I'll ask all the questions.
But to me, what you're saying is about helping people. Your specialty is your purpose.
Mm,
It really is. Your specialty is your purpose because, again, to be the best you, it's the airplane thing. Put that mask on you first because then you're ready to help somebody else
yeah,
because you have taken care of this first,
yeah,
which is awesome. Like
I love that.
I've done so much. I think the hard thing about going through all of the therapy and all those things that I had to go through
Mhm,
is recognizing. Then it's like you really become an empath.
mhm,
I hate to be Debbie Downer, but I think I've always been in tune with people for a negative reason
ooh,
because I had to be in places where I didn't know where I was going to get attacked next.
oh,
So it naturally made me very much in tune in every room that I go to because I don't know what's going to happen to me. And it's this self protection. But that's when you take terrible things
yeah,
and you create something positive about it. And that is one of the things that made me so curious about people. It's never one thing.
yeah,
My father was a minister. I was around a lot of people. My parents were people who were of service. My dad always put the church first. My mom always supported my dad in a wonderful way. So that also we were raised to be people who are of service. So that plays into it too. It's taking all of those good and bad things together and accepting that. That's what makes you, I think, makes it easier for you to see the good things. You have to look at the hard things. You have to look at the bad things. You have to accept those bad things along with the good. You got to take the mask off. Take the mask off. It's hard, but I think especially in the times that we're in, take that mask off because you really need to deeply know who you are to survive sometimes in times like this. We're very privileged people. You know, we get up and do what we want to do with our lives. We make decisions for ourselves. Gratitude, big gratitude for that. That we can have this conversation about what do I do best?
It's so
Because,
true.
like you said earlier, it's hard to pause when you are just, you know,
Yeah.
you have a family, you have kids, you have obligations. It's easy for me to say, find yourself.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is, but I think too it's it's worth it. I think it's such an important deep dive into yourself, like get insanely curious about yourself. Because I think once you do that work and once you start again excavating things within you, that's something like nobody can take away.
Right. Back to that. It's working that muscle and again, it doesn't have to be about starting your own business, but it is about finding your path and knowing where your puzzle piece fits into
Mhm.
and knowing where it doesn't fit into. It helps you to have more discernment and be more discriminating about where you work, what you do with your time, who you spend your time with, all of
Discernment's a
those
really good
things.
word.
Woo, discernment. And like it was funny that you said last time, like when I said leadership is a lonely place. It is because you become a tall poppy
Mm.
and immediately you're kind of, you know, depending on what your position is at work, you're in the middle in a way. You know,
Yeah.
all of these things from the top. You're the filter
Mhm.
that it has to go through. And at the level where you are the people who you're filtering information to, because I don't again I think that every single job in any company or in any organization is important. That's why you created those positions or
Yep.
these positions were created. So it's not like top down. So I actually had to correct myself because I'm like, oh, this coming from the top. Well, it is coming from leadership, and if you're a leader and you have teams, you have to disseminate that information. And that already puts you in a bit of a solitary place
Yeah.
because you know all the things. And in our society, especially, it's the boss is not always the good guy
Yeah. It's
just
true.
because they're the boss.
Yeah, because they're enforcing or they're like it's the not repercussions, it's the accountability person maybe or
Yes,
the person where they're like
that's exactly what it is. It's the person who holds everyone accountable in whatever area they're in. And that immediately, like I said, it's if you're the one that has to disseminate the information, it's lonely because not everybody sees the scope of what you're doing,
Mhm.
and I've seen that as I went up the ladder. I might have had my opinions about some leaders, but it's because I didn't know the scope.
How'd you
All
navigate that as a leader?
Say that again?
How did you navigate that as a leader?
I think for me, it was transparency, not trying to hide things from people, giving my people the benefit of the doubt and not saying, "Oh, well, they're not going to get this." They get it. They get it. Um, and using discernment to make sure that the information that I'm giving is very informative and speaks to them and the vision for their um, team and their collective.
Ooh.
It has to make sense for them and what they're seeing on the daily. And I have skin in the game.
Yeah.
I think that that's the big difference because the larger the corporation, the more you have people who don't have skin in the game
Mhm.
making decisions for people who they're not even interacting with.
Ooh. Yeah. You're like detached. It's just like there's a separation, right?
Yes. Yes. And that comes with that hierarchical mentality. And that's what I've always avoided is having that hierarchy. And it depends on the organization. Some organizations like really lean into that hierarchy. But I think it's so much better when everyone feels like they are part of the collective. We're all on the same team.
Yeah.
I loved some places where I worked where the day after Thanksgiving, the regional is there working the counters, or even I've even had places where the president of the company comes in like the day after Thanksgiving. I bow down. And imagine how your people feel.
Yeah, like you're in it together.
Yes. Yes, because they don't have to do that.
Yeah.
So that's what I think, in leadership, it's just being transparent
Mhm.
and yeah, don't take people for granted and know that they know exactly what's going on.
Oh yeah.
It's just from a different lens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my answer, and I'm sticking to
I love it.
it.
Sticking to it.
Following your titles instead of your strength
Mhm.
is when you get lost.
Yeah, because they're ambiguous too. And these are titles that you didn't get to make for yourself.
Right.
Like it's just a container that you like that's next on the list, you
Right.
know? So that's interesting. But also there's so much weight, I think, especially if you're with an organization, there's so much weight that goes with like the next title or the
Yeah.
promotion. Like what's the
Yeah.
next thing you want to be? Like what's your next specialty?
Mhm. Mhm. And I think that that's where weakness comes and where that lack of self-validation.
Ooh,
And that's something that you see a lot in places that prioritize that hierarchy. Um, is that, oh, I'm Mr. Manager. And that's just a title.
yeah.
What do you do?
Hmm.
How are you bringing value? That's one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you really helped me with is it's not just about me. It's like, what value am I bringing? What value am I bringing to my relationships? It's not just about work. It's like to your relationships, to your life, to whatever um, you want to do with your life. Like, how are you bringing value? You have to know that to be able to be confident and be able to do the things that help you grow.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you bring value? That I can talk about now all day long, but it was really hard at the beginning. It's like, I don't know, I just make goals.
But I think when you get, again, it's like the curiosity component. When you keep asking yourself, okay, but why? Why do you make goals? Why is your team successful at achieving those goals? Like, why? Can you tell me more? Go deeper. It's like at the core, that's what it'll come down to.
Yes,
It'll
yes,
start to reveal itself.
because you let it.
Hmm.
That's the other thing. It's because you let it.
Yep.
You allowed that curiosity to come through,
Hmm.
to say, "Oh my goodness." And I love that exercise. And I think everybody who is a professional who has a lot of experience, every once in a while, at least once a year, even if you're not looking for a job, go into that resume and review all of those things. And
Hmm.
you will say to yourself, look at you. You have done the things.
Things.
That's why I love this conversation. There's so many people. It's not even about other people giving you your flowers.
Hmm.
You give yourself your flowers.
Yeah.
Give yourself those flowers because validation has to come from inside.
Hmm.
I'm
I'm
so
going to go
big
a
on that.
step further because I know
Yes.
you are a master gardener. It's not only give yourself the flowers, but you're also planting them and you have a full-blown garden that you can sustain for yourself, but then you also can share with others. So
Yeah. How dare you?
you do it. It's true though, but it's 100%. You have to figure out a way to create your own garden because
Yes.
it's hard. I mean, it's not always easy. It's not something that comes naturally to a lot of people.
Mhm.
Um, but I think once you start exercise again, like the muscle, right? Like once you start exercising it, it'll be easier or you'll get into that headspace quicker because you've done it before. You've seen it before.
Right. Well, and that's where a lot of my confidence comes from is I have made so many mistakes. I have made mistakes and
Congratulations, you have lived.
girl, and I beat myself up sometimes. I'm actually getting better at not beating myself up as much
Good.
because I always learn from those mistakes, you know, or missteps
Yep.
and knowing where to bring that value that
Hmm.
you have. Um
Love that.
yeah, because again, you have to do those hard things and you have to accept yourself
Hmm.
before anybody else accepts you. And I see that a lot in large organizations. The president is coming today, so let's fix everything up. It's like, why don't we just fix everything up for ourselves every day?
Yeah.
Every day.
But it's good. It's you're creating that standard for yourself. You're not waiting for somebody to tell you what's acceptable or great. It's like why not have that self standard? It's almost like not self-regulating, but how do you how do you become like the architect of your own like like what you produce and what you put out there and how you work? Like why can't you set that standard versus, oh, the president's coming in?
Right.
they're going to check on me and I'm going to be in trouble for not doing the thing. It's like, why not by default lead with your best, like, and have that be your reputation and have like be known for doing excellent work or
Mhm.
asking questions when you get stuck, like it's wild.
But I think that that's the difference
Mhm.
with somebody who is constantly seeking validation from other people.
Mm,
I think that comes from not having done the work and not accepting yourself
yeah.
as you are. And to your point, because you're not performing at a higher standard when you know you can.
Oof. That's a tough one because we've all been there. We're like, we're good.
You know?
We're good.
And maybe you can't at the moment, but you know you can.
Hmm.
You know you can perform at a higher standard because now I feel like I'm walking into rooms and I'm meeting some amazing people and I'm working with some fantastic entrepreneurs and organizations, and I don't feel like, oh my God, what are they going to think about me? It's like, I know what I think about me. I know what I think about me. That's why I'm here. And that's a confidence that comes from accomplishing things and completing things.
Oh,
That's where real confidence comes from. It's not, well, I did this for 2 years. I'm amazing.
it's true.
It's I've done this over and over, and I learned from the mistakes that I made. And I wasn't afraid sometimes to do some hard things that other people didn't want to do. And yes, I was complaining the whole time.
You're like, well,
I'm working on that. I'm working on it. And yes, I did complain the whole time through a lot of things and I cried a lot, but it's gotten me to this place where I approve of me.
dude, what a cool place to be.
I am living for it.
What
I
a
am
cool place to
living
be.
for it. But it came from doing a lot of hard, ugly work
Mhm.
to accept yourself, like I say, warts and all.
Oof.
Princess and the Frog.
Princess and the Frog.
Warts and all. It's like it's like, yes, I this is who I am. Love me or leave me. And you helped me a lot with that too, Janice, with
Mm.
doing that work internally. And that's, I think, a lot of people will never reach the heights that they could because they won't look at themselves. They won't take that mask off because of fear, fear of that vulnerability, that no one wants to be that victim. Sometimes we're all victims. And the vulnerability is what makes you stronger. Do the hard things.
Do the hard thing.
Yes.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right?
Do the hard thing.
Do the hard things. That's what gives you that sense of accomplishment and that sense of like, yeah, I want to do this again. So, next steps. The reason we started this conversation was to kind of give a helping hand to people who have a lot of experience and are now feeling like what you said earlier, and I felt that way a few years ago also, was how do I how do I take this to the next level, even if I want to stay in the same position, but how do I how do I perform more as myself?
I think it's drilling down and articulating at what your specialty is. So I think
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
the whole messaging of the episode, right? Was like find your specialty. What is your specialty? Maybe not
Yeah.
find your specialty. The whole antithesis of the whole concept of the episode was around the idea of what is your specialty.
Yes.
And I think it's a specialty audit of yourself of
Yes.
what what am I really good at? What have I done that has gotten me to this place? And what do I want to do more of?
That's it. I think that's what I'm looking for is what do I want to do more of?
Mhm. Or and it could be what do I want to do less of? It's
Oh,
again, it's an audit, so it's
yes.
like what's no longer serving me or what have
Mhm.
I where have I taken a fork in the road where I knew I wanted to travel in a different direction?
I
But
like
the
that.
audit makes you revisit what your specialty is
Mhm.
and how do you want to grow it? How do you want to make this thing thrive?
Yes. Yes. To create, not even just create, to be clear on what your legacy is.
Oof. Yeah, and it could be doing more of what you're already doing.
Mhm.
So, it's just a fun way to check in with yourself.
Yes.
Say, one, "Oh, damn, I did the dang thing. What does
Right.
that look like?" Um, but also why you did it, why it matters to you, and
Mhm.
why you want to continue that, how you wanna pass it down, like, what you wanna be remembered for, like
Yes. Yes. I like that.
Mhm,
I like that because again, we're speaking to having all of this experience
mhm.
and wanting to be more yourself,
Yeah.
more your real, your authentic self. I got to find a
Mhm.
different word.
I know, I just did a whole thing on that because 'cause I'm like, I hear myself saying it sometimes. I'm like, "God, do you even know what that means?" And it's like mean you're honest. You're
Yes.
being honest, but then you're also having empathy for the person who's receiving your message,
Ooh.
right? I feel like that's authentic.
Mhm.
It's like, "No, I'm gonna be honest with you, but I'm not gonna just be honest. It doesn't matter how you receive it. Like, I'm gonna be thoughtful of who I want to receive this message and then how like, what headspace are they in when they're receiving it?"
Right. Right. And it's also about having integrity. I think that is a word that people don't use a lot because I don't think they understand it.
That's too honest. That's too honest.
Yeah, integrity is yes, who you are as your whole self.
Mhm.
That for the doers, that's the goal is being your whole self,
Mm.
warts and all.
Warts and all.
So I think I would like to ask listeners what if you want a little practice for yourself, for your audit, for your specialty audit, review, because I think that's the best thing is always going back and again being introspective. So look at your last 3 wins. What skill did you use or was consistent in those 3 to 5 wins that you had that you want to look at? I think that's a good exercise. That's something that I do often. That also helps me become more confident. Um, This is one of the questions that a lot of branding people ask that you hear a lot too is what can you speak about for 30 minutes with no preparation?
Ooh,
Right?
that's a good one.
I like that one.
I like that one a lot.
Yes. Yeah, for me, this is it.
Mm,
Leadership.
I love that.
And going back to being interactive, especially with the people who you trust,
Mhm.
and asking at least 3 people, "What do you come to me for?"
Mm. And you'll be
Wha
surprised. I think when you ask people that,
Mhm.
it's such a cool way to get organic information that
Yes.
you may or may not have thought of yourself.
Mhm. I like that.
Mhm.
I like that. So, number 1, reviewing your last 3 wins and identifying which skill was consistent in those wins, what your best skill was in those wins. Um, the second one was what can you talk about for 30 minutes with no preparation, uh, that you love to talk about? And number 3, ask 3 people that you know and trust, "What do you come to me for?"
Ooh.
Would you like to add anything, Miss Janice?
No, but I want to hear all the answers to these questions. I'm like, Julia, if you're listening, you have to answer these questions. I want to know. It's cool. I think it's a really cool exercise and a way to think about yourself in a way that doesn't feel self-serving. It
Right.
feels very like open, like you're allowing yourself to be vulnerable because you're asking somebody's honest opinion, you're
Yeah.
asking for feedback, and it's it's all in the name of information gathering, I think.
Yes. Yes. I think so too. I like that a lot. And that's about it. What a wonderful conversation once again. Thank you so
Always.
much, Miss Janice.
Thank you for bird walking with me. I know we went off on some Super Bowl tangents and all the things, but I
I mean, the Super Bowl thing had to be said. It's like, really?
but I love it. I love our cop.
Thank you so much, Janice, and thank you for joining us. I hope that you got something out of this conversation that helps you to think about the value that you bring to the world. Share it with us because we all want to create this community around building ourselves up and motivating each other because we're the leaders that the world needs right now. Thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Next time, we will be talking about setting boundaries to protect your peace. Woo! Gee.
Oh,
Have a wonderful week. Bye. Thank you for watching and listening. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.